Benjamin Sesko to Arsenal is very, very, very close now, with some reports coming out saying the deal is actually done and will be announced later this month when the transfer window opens. Oshimen has new links to Arsenal as well. Could they bring in two strikers this summer window? Kimmich, for me, could be the best signing of the window if Manchester City do go after him. And Tosin Adarabioyo is just agreed to join Chelsea on a free transfer. We've got so much to break down. If you're new to the channel, please do go down and smash that like button. And also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe too. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers. We're going to start with the news coming up from Fabrizio Romano with regards to Tosin Adarabioyo. Fulham, homegrown English centre-back, now is on the verge of joining Chelsea. Now, this deal looked practically that he would be joining Aston Villa. You know, they were in advanced talks with Lloyd Kelly, Bournemouth centre-back, another homegrown player, as well as Tosin Adarabioyo. Now, of course, Chelsea pinched them to the Conference League, and it looked like Newcastle were going to get Conference League and Chelsea were going to get Europa. And then all of a sudden, Man United pull a rabbit out of the hat and beat Manchester City in the FA Cup to nick back that Europa League place. Now, Tosin Adarabioyo is an interesting one because he actually come out of Manchester City's academy, believe it or not. Very, very talented centre-back, in my opinion. Very good in the air, quick, good passing range. I'm a big fan of Tosin Adarabioyo. I wanted Spurs to sign him. Free transfer, you know, has had a fair share of injuries. Only played 20 Premier League appearances last season. Can only really play on the right side of centre-back. Hasn't really played left-sided centre-back too much. And he did sign a contract extension one more year on January 5th, 2023 with Fulham, but now is on the verge of joining Chelsea. And the report from Fabrizio Romano says, and I quote, exclusive, Chelsea are closing in on a deal to sign Tosin Adarabioyo. Negotiations at final stages. Newcastle have been working on the Tosin deal for weeks, but Chelsea now are clear favourites, cautious until it's sealed. Tosin to be the first signing for Enzo Maresca if all goes. Now, when you look at the football that Enzo Maresca plays, it's very much Pep Arteta, you know, high press, high possession, fast, solid defensive foundation kind of style football. Now, when you look at Chelsea centre-back options, obviously Fofana riddled of injuries. Thiago Silva is going back to Brazil. They've got Badiashile. You know, they don't really have at the moment for me an elite centre-back like a Diaz or a Saliba or Gabriel or a Kanji or an Ake. They don't really have even a Pau Torres or a Van der Ven or a Romero. They don't really have a top centre-back. I don't think Tosin Adarabioyo goes there and starts week in, week out, but I definitely think he's knocking on the door to start. You know, and I do think it's a good signing for Chelsea. I think he's going to give them something different. Of course, Chelsea are now going to be in 4 competitions next season. Obviously, this season only playing in the Premier League and the domestic cups. They will be playing in Europe. And in terms of their spending, they can only spend 80%, I believe, of their profits. Or their revenue. So bringing in a free transfer, it is a smart bit of business. And I do think he will do very well in a Chelsea shirt. I just can't believe that he did not join Newcastle when it looked practically that he'd be joining them. And they were very, very close for the last number of months. And it looked like the deal was practically done. A deal that apparently, according to a number of reports, is very close to being done. And that is Benjamin Sesko to Arsenal. 20 years of age, Slovenian striker from RB Leipzig. We've spoken about this guy a couple of times on the channel now. I think he's going to be a great signing for Arsenal. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I do think he's going to be a great signing. I kind of get a similar vibe to when Kai Havertz signed. Not a lot of people they're like, okay, it's Kai Havertz. But when you see what Mikel Arteta's coaching can do, then you actually understand the benefit of having Sesko in an Arsenal team. You know, I don't necessarily think Arsenal need an out-and-out goal scorer to win the league. You know, when you look at only Manchester City scored more goals in the league, their defence the best in the league by far. Gabriel and Saliba, arguably the best centre-back partnership in European football right now. I think where Arsenal are going to win the league, if they are going to do it, it's you need a Rodri or a Kimmich in that number 6 role. Declan Rice was apparently going to be bought for that role, but of course, Mikel Arteta has played him in the advanced 8 role, and we've seen him have a fantastic season. Double digits for goals and assists. Truly an unbelievable display from Declan Rice in the number 8 role. And you've got Martin Odegaard who can pull the strings and the weight of passing and play, and he's lovely in the transitions, a little give and go 1s and 2s. He's brilliant. But what they are now missing is a DM, and obviously Partey is being linked to a move away. You know, they did have Granit Xhaka who could play that role and as well as play the advanced 8 role. Jorginho, for me, isn't enough next season. They need their own Rodri. Now, what Manchester City, they're currently being linked with Kimmich, and I'll get on to that. But Benjamin Sesko, for me, I truly believe he's going to walk into that Arsenal team. I think he gets double digits for goals and assists. I think in terms of the price, I mean, the only kind of thing, I think it will be a great signing. You know, the price tag is good. He fits the player profile nearly perfect for what Arsenal need. The only issue, I guess you could say, is a little raw, but I think that's coachable. And I do think Arsenal getting their business done early is a sign of intent. Now, Arsenal, according to reports, are going to go out and the Kroenkes are going to give Arteta another 150, 180, 200 million pounds. Benjamin Sesko, you know, the fee is, there's been various different reports regarding the fee. So I don't want to come on here and say it's going to be 80 million, it's going to be 100 million, you know, but Arsenal are particularly keen on adding Sesko to their attacking options. And I do think with Kai Havertz, with the likes of Martinelli, Saka, you know, Gabriel Jesus, Trossard, they're not far off being off that Man City attack. The difference between the two teams is Man City have got a 30-goal a season player in Erling Haaland. And as much as I think that's great, because I obviously absolutely adored Harry Kane in a Spurs shirt, but it's also good to have goals everywhere, because if that player doesn't necessarily have a good game, you are struggling for goals. Obviously, City have got other weapons in their arsenal, a Foden or a De Bruyne, etc., who can quite easily contribute to 15 goals a season. Arsenal, I think Sesko is going to be a great, great signing for them. I think he's going to add something different. He's 20 years of age. He'll develop massively under Mikel Arteta. And all the signings he's kind of made in the last 2 or 3 years, other than maybe a Fabio Vieira or to a degree, a Gabriel Jesus or a Zinchenko, you're talking a very, very slim amount of players that haven't improved. One player that is being linked, who is a 30-goal a season player, is Victor Oshimen from Napoli. Now, of course, Napoli today have just appointed Antonio Conte. Fabrizio Romano has come out with the here we go. Victor Oshimen is being linked to a move to Chelsea. Romano's now come out and said that that is not true. And he does expect him to get various interest from Premier League clubs. And according to some outlets in Italy, the Arsenal are interested in Victor Oshimen. Now, when you look at the guy's numbers, they truly are an absolute disgrace. They are that good, you know. But there's so many strikers out there that are being linked to this Arsenal role in the number 9. I don't think Victor Oshimen is the right guy. You know, wages is 246,000 euros a week. He's probably going to want, what, 10 to 15% increase on that. Probably close to 300,000 euros a week. His goal scoring stats are very, very good in terms of total shots. He's top 9% in Europe. You know, his stats is compared to Alexander Solarov from Villarreal, Dusan Vlahovic to Juventus, Erling Haaland, Ollie Watkins, Luis Openda. His numbers are very, very good. But I'm always a big believer of go and get Premier League proven rather than taking a gamble on getting a player from Serie A. And in the Premier League, you got an Ollie Watkins, you got an Ivan Toney, and you got an Alexander Isak. Now, I'm not saying they're better strikers than a Victor Oshimen or a Benjamin Sesko. I think you could see a world in which they bring in a Isak and a Sesko, and then 50 million on a Zubimendi for the DM role, and you're laughing. But Oshimen's going to be around 100 to 140 million euros. Alexander Isak is going to be around £100 million. If they were to sign Ollie Watkins, you're probably looking at £80 to £110 million. Ivan Toney, 1 year left in his contract. I think Brentford would be madness to turn down a £40 million bid. So there's a number of strikers, and you got Victor, you got Gorakes, the Swedish #9 playing in Sporting. You've got like 45 goal contributions. Out of all these players being linked, the two players that I think fit the system the best for me is Benjamin Sesko and Alexander Isak. And I don't think Benjamin Sesko comes in and immediately starts because he is only 20 years of age. You know, he's a very raw, young, talented player. But I don't think, you know, when you look at him, I don't think he comes in and starts immediately. You know, the player that they're comparing Benjamin Sesko to is the Dominic Solanke. You know, his take-ons are very good. His non-penalty goals, his total shots, his aerial duels won are very good. His numbers in terms of what he can bring to the Arsenal team, he ticks a lot of the boxes. But whether it's going to be him, Isak, or both is yet to be seen. Now, one player who I think fits a system like a glove is Joshua Kimmich to Manchester City. This guy, for me, top 5 in his position in world football. Can play right back, can play central midfield, can play DM. The absolute maestro in terms of how good he really is. 28 years of age, in his prime years as a footballer. You know, in terms of passes completed, he's top 2% in Europe. In terms of progressive carries, he's top 4% in Europe. Expected assist, expected shots, shot creating actions, and assist. He's all within the top 10% in the world. And he can dominate a game from right back or from DM. You know, he's like, if you look at his games home and away in the Champions League against Arsenal, he really kind of flexed his muscles and you saw him oozing class. Oozing class. Weight of pass, the way he reads the game. The closest player I think we've seen in the last 15 years to a Joshua Kimmich is essentially who Joshua Kimmich wanted to play like, which was a Philip Lahm, who turned Philip Lahm into a defensive-minded player in a system, Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola is now being linked to a Joshua Kimmich. And when you look at Kyle Walker's now 33, 34, they've got Rico Lewis, who is also kind of playing a similar role to a Kimmich and a Lahm in the DM and the right back. I do think Joshua Kimmich, in terms of system, in terms of personnel, in terms of the role he can play, he would be unreal. You could quite easily move around Joshua Kimmich and Rodri. Joshua Kimmich could play right back, and when you go to a back three of Vardial, Diaz, and Stones, Kimmich goes into the midfield, or you go to a back three with Kimmich, Stones, and Diaz, and Vardial goes up front. There's so many different options and combinations that you can play with a player like Joshua Kimmich. In terms of what he wants to do, there was a report coming out from Fabrizio Romano that he's, at the moment, as it stands, he thinks he's going to be in the Bayern Munich squad, but with Vincent Kompany, who knows? Who knows? You know, 8 goal contributions in 28 games. Contract expires June 30th, 2025. So he's got 2 years left on his contract. Can play, obviously, DM, right back, central midfield. Will Manchester City potentially come in for him? I think in terms of what transfer market value Matt is around 50 million euros. I think that's pretty accurate. Won everything he can with Bayern Munich. 8 league titles, a Champions League, 3 German Cups, a Super Cup, a Club World Cup. Absolutely unreal in that year with Hansi Flick when they destroyed Barcelona. Now, I guess, does he want to move to the Premier League? I either think he'll join City or potentially Real Madrid or Barca. Those are the 3 teams, maybe even an Arsenal. You know, if Joshua Kimmich comes on the market for around £50 million or 50 million euros, let's say £50 million, so like 60 million euros, he's going to have 10 to 15 clubs queuing up at the door trying to get his signature. One of the most intelligent footballers on this planet. And if he is available, whoever gets him has got top 5 in his position in the world. In terms of DMs out there, I would go Rodri, and Kimmich is probably second or third. You got Zubimendi at Sociedad. He's very good as well. So Only time will tell. Let me know your thoughts on Oshimen, Sesko, Tosin Adarabioyo, and Kimmich. Make sure you do smash the like on the way out. Make sure you have subscribed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching. I am out.